essential, isn't it? I gave the example of the average group of marketing people. They have no ideas. The only people who know what's going to happen are the people who do something. And you just never know. I mean, I've been at this game for 50 odd years. I don't know what's going to happen. I can guess. There was a very fine guy called Axel Anderson, who bought and owned for a while Linguaphone. And I remember I was speaking in Boston, and he came up to me, and I didn't know him, and he came up, I was incredibly flattered by the fact that he came to listen to me. And I was incredibly flattered because he tested like a maniac. And there's another guy, if any of you have ever heard of Denny Hatch, has anybody ever heard of Denny Hatch? Denny Hatch is even older than me, which is hard to believe. I go and see him in Boston every now and then. He ran a thing called Who's Mailing What? And I remember he contacted me, and it must have been in the 80s when we got to know him, when he'd come over to London, we'd have a drink and all of that. That's the basis of my professional relationships. And I once, Who's Mailing What effectively showed you all the mailings that are working in America. And now there's a big version of it, which includes direct online stuff, you know. So you know what's working, yeah? Because if people keep on mailing, it's working. Yeah? And I remember asking Axel Anderson, how often do you get it right? You've been testing and testing and testing, and he said about 50% of the time. Has anyone heard of the name's gone out of my mind, it'll come back to me. No. The thing is, you just don't know what's going to work. You don't know what price is going to sell at. You don't know what offer's going to do best. I mean, there are the things you have to test, yeah. Obviously, you test the product or the service. Is there any change you can make to the product or service to make it more appealing? You test the price at which you sell the product or service. You test the way in which you offer the price, i.e., are you asking for the cash up front? Are you offering people payments? Are you saying you can try it for 30 days before you pay? And so on. Yeah? You can test that. And that's even before you go to the next most important thing. Next most important invariably is, who are you talking to? So if you're talking about media, you could be talking about which mailing list do you use, or you could be talking about which newspaper do you use, you could be talking about what time of day you run your TV commercials, and the answer for direct response, if anyone wants to know, is usually in the middle of the bloody night when nobody thinks so, because anybody who's watching television in the middle of the night, you know, you pay very little to get the time, and you get very good responses. So that's the next thing you've got to test, yeah? That's before you even start thinking about, now let's talk about the creative, what are we going to test, yeah? For a while I used to have the Reader's Digest account, which at that time was quite a big organisation. And we used to test which presenter was the best person to announce that you've just won £1 million or whatever, yeah? And some presenters were better than others, and there was one particular guy who was the most trusted, yeah? Unfortunately, he was so old, we used to have to prop him up. But you must test, because you just don't know. One of the many things that's been driving me crazy, here's an example. I offer this thing called AskDrayton that was mentioned at the beginning. Okay, so it was offered at £29 a month. Yeah, so you get an hour of stuff, and then a whole, what we call the vault, which is lots of stuff I've done in the past. Yeah. And for months and months and months, I was saying to Al, who understands these things more than I do, I want to test a different price. Yeah? And we couldn't. And we couldn't because of the mechanics involved, you know, and the way that people that are allegedly service providers make it difficult for you to do anything. Yeah? And we've only just been able, only about 4 months ago, we managed to test £49 against £29. Yeah? £49 does better than £29. Yeah? Could I have told them that? No, I couldn't. Now I'm thinking of what else can I test? Could I say it's £49, but you can have the first month free? Because I used that for an investment newsletter many years ago. Yeah? All these things can make a fantastic amount of difference. You don't know what people are willing to pay. You don't know which people are going to be willing. One of the best stories we used to have the world's most expensive cruise line, which at that time wasn't the Royal Caribbean, it was the Royal something or other, Royal Viking Line, and we found that the list that worked best for the Royal Viking Line was a list from a company run by a friend of mine. It's called the Scottish Gourmet Club. And my partner Brian, who's a very funny man from Blackpool, got to be funny from Blackpool. He said, I believe that the reason it works so well, he said, if you're a Scottish gourmet, you've got to bloody travel. But I could never have told you. You never know until we tested the telephone for them. And this was a very, very expensive. I went on one of their cruises, I couldn't afford the tips. So we said, let's test the telephone. And no, our people won't answer the telephone. We started using the telephone. And we got a recording of this amazing conversation with this couple. Blah, 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 the guy's talking about, and the woman answered the phone, blah, blah, Henry, do we own the Royal Viking Line? People were not only happy to talk, they were happy to talk for a long time. Well, I never could have told you that if we hadn't tested it, yeah?